doing health classes at the Grove Library, and Gail here was came to see one of them, and she asked if I could come and do it here in J. So this is why I'm here tonight. We're going to have the slide on this. Can everybody see this okay? Okay. So this is for educational purposes only. It's not to take the place of professional help that you may need, okay? And so what we're going to talk about tonight specifically, we'll start off speaking about diabetes, and then we'll get into, we'll touch on on cancer, we'll get into weight, we'll get into how we can achieve optimal health. The one we're going to really talk about today is the type 2 diabetes, which usually happens as we get older. It's not, the type 1 is more the juvenile, what used to be juvenile diabetes, and type 2 is usually adult onset. But nowadays, because the young people also are not as active and they're gaining more weight, they too are coming down with what used to be adult onset diabetes. And what they found is that the males are more at risk for it, and usually because they tend to, when they gain weight, they gain it more in the midsection, women more in the hip. But so that's why there's a higher risk for men than women, but weight is one of them. It's not necessarily a gender issue, it's more of a where the weight's gained issue. And so here are some of the risk factors. As we get older, if there's excess weight around the waist, especially, family history, certain ethnicities, physical inactivity, and poor diet. And so this is really cool because tonight we're going to be presenting, you'll get a chance to taste something really healthy, really delicious, and it'll give you an idea of how we can cook and eat and enjoy life and be able to overcome this, because this is a debilitating disease. It causes blindness if it's out of control. Some people lose limbs. It's just a debilitating disease altogether. We're going to hear some testimonies from some people. 1 out of 3 adults have pre-diabetes, and 9 out of 10 people don't even know they have it. And this is just quick statistics. We'll go over 29.1 million people in the United States have diabetes. 8.1 million may be undiagnosed and unaware of their condition. And about 1.4 million new cases of diabetes are diagnosed in the United States every year. So this is a serious health problem, poses serious risks to our health. More than 1 in every 10 adults. So that brings it down. Those numbers are big, but when you look at it, more than 1 in every 10 adults who are 20 years or older has diabetes. And for seniors, that figure increases. So there's also hypertension, which is on the rise as well as diabetes. And we know what diabetes was, high blood sugar because either the pancreas isn't working properly, or for type 2, it's more the receptor sites are not working properly to allow the insulin to bring the sugar into the blood. Now, high blood pressure is, the pressure is high in your blood vessels. It's kind of, it tells you what it is. It's higher than it should be, and it gives you an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. But there's good news. There's steps we can take for that. And the beautiful thing about the 8 laws of health, which I'll present tonight, once we implement those, it doesn't matter whether it's diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol, whatever the condition is, it'll take care of all of that, cancer even. So we're going to introduce you, if you haven't heard about this China study. This China study was done by Dr. Colin Campbell and his son, Dr. Thomas Campbell. And in 2005, he and his son shared the findings of this China study. This groundbreaking book examined the connection between nutrition, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, and the source of nutritional confusion produced by powerful lobbies, government entities, and opportunistic scientists. And this book is hailed as one of the most important books about diet and health ever written. So we're going to watch this video. This is Dr. Campbell. We're going to listen to something that he has to say about his findings. So that was a quick summary of the big, long study. But what he found was that cancer cells grew more rapidly with animal protein. That was the extended study that he did in China, and he found that. I'll do a quick, we'll throw this in here. This is a couple, well, they'll introduce themselves. I'll let you listen. Go ahead.
Well, we met in college about 7 years ago. I was having a party, and Hillary came over, and we met there.
When I first met Bruce, I thought this guy is going to be a lot of fun. He always tells really hilarious jokes. He's very up on pop culture. He knows what's going on, and we're going to be able to go out, get food, and see a lot of movies.
We definitely both loved our food. We were obviously at college, so the dining hall was a big part of our lives. And we enjoyed our fast food, our Taco Bell, our donuts, everything like that. It was really pretty terrible the way we ate. Yeah, my physical shape when we met was poor. I was in very bad shape. I was at one of my heaviest points. I was probably about 280 or so at that point. And no signs of going down. Whenever you're overweight, there's a lack of confidence there, and I definitely think there was part of that for me. You really don't want to go out in public and be seen running around and jiggling everywhere and being in people's faces.
As I started to gain weight and I would leave the house less often, was less, participating in community activities, there was a lot of sense of isolation. Also knowing that it was really my fault and that there was something I should be doing about it, but that I wasn't able to do that was very frustrating.
It wasn't only about appearance, though. There was actually some real physical damage going on. The combination of cholesterol, fear of heart attack, just not being able to move without getting winded, they were all very good indicators that something was very, very wrong. Sometimes it felt like it was becoming hopeless. We had tried so many times to lose the weight, and we thought we were giving very genuine efforts to do it, to eat better, to lose weight. When Hillary would get dejected, so would I. And then I would get depressed, I would get angry, she would get angry. It was really a feedback loop of negative emotions all around our weight. What finally changed was, at our employer, we saw flyers for a weight loss program that was coming in. It turned out it was a PCRM research study on the effects of a vegan diet. That caught us a little bit off guard.
Yeah, at first I really thought it was going to be completely impossible for us to change. It's so different than what we were eating before. We were eating very little vegetables and a lot of meat and dairy. So I thought that, at least if we could try something that had some science behind it and somebody to tell us what was right and wrong, we might as well give it a try.
When the program first started, they took our numbers, they took our blood, our height, weight, all of that, and they were very bad. Very, very bad. I was at 283 pounds. My cholesterol was, I think, 259, right around there, very high.
My numbers weren't good either. I was about 239 pounds for a woman of my height. That's a BMI of over 30, well into obese territory. I definitely needed to lose some weight and hopefully drop some cholesterol as well.
We were encouraged by the support that they were giving us. They were coming in weekly and providing us with real help, with presentations every week, and with very, very qualified people. They would show us the dangers of continuing on the path that we were going down, and more importantly, show us benefits beyond physical appearance, beyond the weight loss of the vegan diet. Reducing diabetes, cholesterol certainly, reducing risk of cancer. All of the people in the group would help to reinforce each other as well.
Come on, slowpoke.
As the weeks started to go by and the numbers started to get lower and lower, the pounds were dropping like crazy.
I think 8 to 10 weeks into the study, I'd already lost 30 pounds, been able to go shopping for new clothes. It was very, very exciting.
We had our blood tested again, and my cholesterol was plummeting. It was fantastic. I was going below 200 and eventually lower than that even. So we were getting really excited. This is something that was working better than anything we tried before. And I think that we knew we were on the right path.
The way that I was eating, I was continuing to lose weight, which is great to know that you're not only at a point that's sustainable, but something that you're still continuing to make progress to your goal, and it doesn't feel like a challenge anymore.
We both feel a lot differently now. We both have a lot more energy. We work out all the time, and we were sedentary before. We never moved.
I think there's a lot more sense of control now of what's going into your body, what's coming off, what you can do. I feel like I can go running if I want to now, and I never felt like that before. So it's not only a difference in your body, but it's also definitely a sense of control over your whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a difference in attitude too. We're more positive about things. We feel like we can do more in general, not just physically, but at work, at home, everywhere.
I'm really thankful to the whole group that really gave us the tools we needed to start this vegan diet. It's really been a blessing for us and very exciting.
In the end, I think they added a lot of years and quality to our lives.
For sure.
Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine in Washington, D.C., they're doing wonderful work. We don't have to go there to do that. But as we talked about, we started with diabetes, we have high blood pressure, we talked about high blood pressure, high cholesterol, cancer he brought in, and in this case they had the weight and the cholesterol and all that. And so all of these things is to introduce you to these 8 laws to say that we can overcome this. We don't have to live with this. We don't have to be debilitated. And if you see there's a word here, it's a new start. It can be a new start for all of us. We can start afresh. But this is an acronym for the 8 laws of health that God has given us. These laws are in place. It's a law, which means it's unchangeable. So it's like the law of gravity. And they're simple, and and everyone can do them. Doesn't matter. The first one is good nutrition. The N for good nutrition. And when we look at how we were created, God made us with, our teeth don't look like the carnivore's teeth, like the animals. And the diet that he gave us was fruits, nuts, grains, and after sin he added vegetables. So we have those 4, that's the 4 basic food groups. And so the good nutrition there is that plant-based diet. Exercise is the second law. Exercise for a diabetic is like insulin. It moves the sugar into the cells. Exercise is very important for all of us. For high blood pressure, it's very important to get the pressure corrected. Water also is the third law, very important for everything. But I think about the diabetics and the high blood pressure, water is extremely important. Pure water, soft water. That's going to be cleansing. And why do we need water anyway? We're made up of water. We have quite a bit of water. But so why do we need water? Because as we speak, as we breathe, to digest our food, the body uses up the water. We expel water. You can see that on a cold day. You go out and you breathe, and you'll see the steam from your breath because we're using up water all the time. When we sweat, and we need to sweat. Sweating is good. That's the skin is one of the organs, it's the largest organ of elimination. So we need to sweat, keep our pores nice and open. Water is not just on the inside, it's externally as well. We need to stay clean, live in hygienic conditions to prevent disease. I'd say back in the olden days when they had the plague, a lot of these things were from unhealthy, unhygienic conditions. So not only internally, but externally, using water. I don't know if you've ever been into the restroom and you see someone go use the restroom and just walk out the door without washing their hands. Unhygienic. And so we need to use water and add some soap. The next law, which is sunshine, the S is sunshine. The sunshine turns cholesterol in your skin, underneath your skin, to vitamin D. So there's so many people that are vitamin D deficient, and the darker your skin, the longer you have to stay in the sun. And so it varies. The lighter the skin, need at least 15 minutes. But the more tan you are, then you need to stay out there a little bit longer. Every day you need some sunshine. The next one is, the T is temperance, which is a balance of those things that are good and abstaining from those things that are bad. So the bad things would be drugs, alcohol, caffeine, and there are other things, but that's just to give you an idea of the things that are bad for you. And the balance of those things that are good, like working. We all need to work, but not overworking. See, we need to have a balance of that. Not overworking, not underworking. Getting the next one. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'll wait. The next one is A for air. Just air. Good air. How long can we live without air? Not very long. We can live without food for a while. We can live without water for less time. And so good air is important to our health. We have to have good air in order to maintain health. The next one is rest. R for rest. We need proper rest. And here's the thing about resting. It's not just getting the 8 hours any old time. So it's not just staying up till 12 and sleeping till 8, or staying up till 1 and sleeping till 9, whatever. There's a certain, God is a God of order, and there's cycle and rhythm. There are things that are in place that are supposed to take place while we rest. Repair of our bodies. Our blood has things in it to bring repair to our cells. And so there's a time, like between the hours before midnight are worth twice as much as the hours after midnight. And so what happens is, depending on the time of the year, between 9 and 2, or between 10 and 3, depending, daylight savings time or so, we should be already asleep. And it's during those times, like during the daytime, as you look at the sun, information gets back to the pineal gland in your brain, through the retinas, through the pineal gland. And then somewhere in between those hours that I just mentioned, serotonin is being produced, melatonin. These are important for our health. So when you wake up and you feel good, serotonin is a happy hormone, and you feel good. Have you ever gone to sleep late and you still get your 8 hours, but you wake up and you're groggy and so it's things like that. The other thing too is to make sure you're getting a good night's rest. When we miss out on that night's rest, what do people reach for in the next morning? Because they have to function, they have to go to work. What do people reach for? That coffee. And I just mentioned coffee with the tea. We want to stay away from coffee. So a lot of the problem is to get that proper night's rest. But you can see now. That's how you do. But can you see now how you can overcome that if you start going to bed earlier? Can you see? Now I'll tell you something with coffee. When you try to stop drinking coffee, you'll get a headache. You'll get a really bad headache. If you would just keep drinking water during that process, within I think a day or two, that should subside. So there is a process. The last T is trust in God. He made us. He knows what's best for us. And as we implement these, we're developing a relationship with Him because we're doing what He's asking us to do. And then you say, hey, that works. That really does work. And so what happens? You learn to trust Him. What happens in relationships is you spend time with people, you're communicating with them, you get to know them better, and you can trust them more with what. So that time, especially first thing in the morning, if you spend some time in prayer and meditation with Him, good meditation, not the fake one, then that also, because you see, the mind is closely related to the body, and the health of the mind is very much associated with the health of the body. And so I can't tell you how many times that when I was learning, all these simple natural remedies to take care of my children, I can't tell you how many times I was on my knees like, Lord, what do I do? And He has shown me. So it's a law of health. The health of the mind will help the health of the body. All right. And I went through it without showing you my slides. But pretty much. I only had one slide, and I was going to talk about each one. And what I did, the issue was I can't go into all of them tonight in as much detail as I'd like. So the issue was this first one. I was just going to talk about nutrition, but I think I pretty much covered that with the, this is just sort of a review of this, you know, the slide talks about how diet is an important part of our overall health. Diet high in saturated and trans fats raises blood cholesterol, which is a major risk factor for heart disease and stroke. And too much sodium can raise your blood pressure. Too much fat and sugar, excuse me, can lead to obesity, both of which may contribute to heart disease as well. And then there's that exercise. It helps with controlling your weight, reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, and so on. Reduce your risk of some cancers. Strengthens your bones, improves your mental health. Have you gone out for a walk or just exercise? How you feel so much better? The good hormones are being produced as well. It improves your ability to do daily activities. You remember the lady, the couple, how she was saying that now she wants to get out there and exercise because she can do it. So the more she does it, the more she's able to do it, and it prevents falls if if you're older. And of course, if you're going to do an exercise program, do talk to your doctor and make sure that everything, you don't want to just jump into it. You want to move slowly and build up. And of course, water, pure, soft water. We talked about that already. The sunshine, vitamin D, we went over that. The thing about sunshine is it helps muscles. It improves brain function and may even protect against cancer. Vitamin D causes... low levels can cause heart disease, prostate cancer, and dementia. And of course, we talked about temperance. There's air, rest, and this just goes into how much hours of sleep we need, and then there's trust in God. So the last question here is, what do faith, religion, and trust in God have to do with health? Research has shown that spirituality helps to control stress, strengthen the immune system, and protect against heart disease and cancer. Remember, tied closely, the mind to the body. Beyond these benefits, God promises eternal life to those who trust Him, a life of perfect health and freedom from pain, fear, and death. So I think that's an amazing benefit, isn't it? All right, so we'll end with this. This is a doctor in Texas, a cardiologist, I believe, that is putting his patients on this diet and lifestyle. Great news. So it's time to do some demonstration. So we're going to demonstrate the cheesy sauce and the guacamole. And then everything else is ready. You'll get a chance to try. This is raw cashews, just raw, not roasted. And you want to make sure when you use that you just rinse it really well. So I've already rinsed the half a cup. So it's 2 teaspoons of salt. And we have 2 teaspoons of onion powder. And all of these things can be, you can get all these things locally, so it's easy to do. So then a 1/4 cup of organic cornstarch. Oh, let me get the cup measurement. And we're gonna, once we make this, we're gonna just thicken the sauce on the stove. This is one cheese sauce recipe. There's different ones. There's some, I do some other ones, but this one I really like for this particular recipe. It says mazzetto peppers, which you can find at Walmart, but it's pimento. It's just roasted pimentos. So this is just pimento. So in this case, it's at a 1/4 cup. I'm going to just use that. Usually a jar like this is good. A tablespoon of lemon juice. I like using the fresh squeezed lemon. You can do the fresh squeezed lemon if you'd like. I'm going to estimate a tablespoon. So, and you can always add a little bit more or less. It's not exact. A can of coconut milk, not coconut cream, just the milk. The cream has sugar, and that's not what you're going for. And then the next thing is 2 cups of water. This is 16.9, so I'm going to estimate about 2 cups here. A little bit more. 2 cups of water. And then a jar of salsa, if you desire. I do like, the salsa does make it taste really good, so I'm going to do that. But I'm going to blend this first before adding the salsa. I'm going to blend it a little bit longer. If you have a more powerful blender like a Vitamix, you don't have to blend as long, but I'm going to just blend this a little bit longer, okay? Can you see the color? It's already, and that's from the peppers. Gives it that color. I should have opened my jar before. I need help.
No watching.
Ooh. Yay. Usually the Herdez that I have on there is this size, so a jar of this size. And this is, I don't want to use this guacamole one though, I want this red one. So this is 15.7 ounce, same size. This is 16 ounces. I hope. So for the purpose, for the guacamole, I'm going to save some of this salsa for to put in the guacamole, okay? But you know, you put in 16 ounces of the salsa. I'm sorry, 15 ounces. And I'm going to blend again. It's really simple. It's just dumping stuff in a blender. And then you're going to transfer this to a pot. I'm hoping this was blend. You want it nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. So, you know, one of the tips is if you want to blend the cashews in a small amount of the water first, get that nice and creamy, and then you add the other things. So we'll just let that cook until it's thick. And for the guacamole, we're going to just mash the avocado. And it was 2 medium avocados peeled and quartered. A teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to add that. Sorry, that's half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt, with a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and then optional, the salsa. So that's also pretty simple too. When avocados are on sale, avocado is very good for you. It's a nice healthy fat. And one of the things that you can do with diabetes is to eat high fiber, things that are high in fiber, a good source of protein like your beans and peas, your legumes, and healthy fats like avocados and olives, things like that.
They're on sale at Aldi for 49 cents right now.
Really? Thank you. I'm going to go get some. That's good. May I have a paper towel? Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and add so we'll do the onion and garlic, half a teaspoon. So this is 1 teaspoon, so We'll do half. And the garlic, half a teaspoon. You can put more or less, half a teaspoon of salt. All right. Let's add a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. And we're going to add the salsa, extra salsa. It said a half to a jar of salsa. And then mix that. And that's simple. It's a nice simple guacamole. This is also good as a spread on bread. Like if you wanted something really light. I always recommend that we have a nice big breakfast, nice healthy, heart-healthy breakfast. Eat till you're full. Whole grains, like Franklin has some waffles that he does. We did waffles and ice cream one night, and that was really cool.
That's good.
And Franklin does his bachelor-friendly, crowd-pleasing, kid-friendly waffles. And anyway, nice healthy breakfast, lots of fruits and nice, whole grains and things. Nice lunch, and then in the evening, it'd be best if you had a smaller supper. Eat dinner like a pauper. So lunch like a king, breakfast like a queen. I'm sorry, breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and supper like a pauper. And sometimes, as one lady says, paupers don't eat. So if you're going to skip a meal, that's the one to skip. So everything should be ready or almost ready, and you'll get a chance to taste. Are we laying them out here? So we're laying them here. You can taste the guacamole, and you can layer it however way you want to. If you're gluten sensitive, then you can just have this like a burrito bowl without the tortilla. It's still a nice, good meal. So it gives you options, because with this meal, you can do different things. You can make tacos if you wanted, or like in this case, burritos. We have Spanish rice. Are you ready for them to come? We're ready for you to come.
They just can't go past here.
Okay, just come on up and help yourself.
Dr. Burke, I want to share with you my testimony. In 2012, I became really ill. I had been taking care of my parents for a long time. I didn't take care of myself. I ate just fast food, things that were already prepared, and I just kept feeling worse, sluggish, and I was almost walking with a cane. I couldn't go grocery shopping or anything anymore, and then one day I became very ill. And my husband, I refused to go to the doctor, and then finally by the evening time I was so sick that I agreed. When I got there, they did all the tests, and the last test was the blood sugar test, and he said that I was a diabetic. And he said that it would be years, because it was so high, that before I would get it down to where I could eat anything normal again. So I cried, went home, and I asked the Lord, I said, I need help, because I tried all the diets and everything else, and nothing worked. So I got up the next morning.
So how much weight had you gained?
I was, I hate to say, but I was over 300 pounds.
Wow.
And I mean, really up there. I was in bad shape, but I didn't, I mean, I knew I was heavy, but I thought I was okay, but I really wasn't. And I really thought I went too far anyway. I thought I was so far gone that there was no turning back. So I thought, what's the use? But then I got scared when they told me that, I had to start taking all these medicines, and I'm not a medicine person. So they gave me medication, and I cried and I asked the Lord to help me. So the very next day, I couldn't hardly walk, but I knew I had to do exercise. I knew I had to change my diet. So I asked God to help me follow His plan. So I started implementing His plan the next day. Water. I took everything out of my diet that was not everything that we had talked about earlier, that wasn't conducive to what God's plan was for me in this simple plant-based diet. I couldn't hardly walk, but I threw myself out there and I took 12 steps.
Amen.
And my husband came with me and he's like, "Ooh, that's not far enough, Joyce." And I said, "Well, okay, I don't want you to walk with me anymore." I took my dog with me because she just would go as far as I would go. And I kept walking, and I kept walking, and I kept drinking water, I kept exercising, I kept studying and praying and asked God to help me because it was hard. Some nights I'd have to go to bed early because I'd want to eat. And to keep myself from eating, I'd go to bed. But I was determined because I didn't want to be sick anymore. And as your program was stating earlier, as it progressed, I started feeling better. I started walking farther too. And before I knew it, them 12 steps turned into a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. I was exercising on the treadmill and riding the exercise bike, and the pounds started coming off. And it has been 2012 when I started, and this is 2018, and I've lost 209 pounds.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
and I praise God, and I share my program because it is simple. We just have to have the motivation and the desire to want to feel better, and I did. You know, I wanted to live, and I learned I wanted to eat to live, not live to eat anymore. And that was my thing. So I go around sharing too my story and of how God has blessed me. That as I continue to walk and follow His plan, and I'm going to tell you, I did a little bit like your husband did there for a while. I slipped back a little bit, but not too far, because I could tell myself not feeling good, and I get back in the boat and keep doing, and then you start feeling better.
That's right.
And it's all important, that all the things you mentioned, the rest, the exercise, the water, all those things incorporated together, and the consistency of it.
That's it.
You have to do it. It's a daily process, just even with the trust with God, daily. Because if you skip a day, it puts a niche in it.
Yes.
Yeah. But then as I kept doing it, as the people you had on the program there said, I wanted to do it because I felt better. And who doesn't want to feel good?
That's right.
And I praise God today that I'm alive.
Amen.
I believe because I followed His plan. Not the world's,
That's right.
because all those diets, none of those things ever worked for me, not ever. But when I gave in and I surrendered to Him and then agreed to follow His plan, it has been a blessing. And I thank God.
That is so good.
It is. I'm thankful. So
That's good. Thank
and
you.
so I enjoy your program
Well, praise the
because
Lord. I'm glad you
it's
came.
important because the diabetes is really bad everywhere. And it's really prevalent.
Dr. Burke, how can I prevent diabetes from affecting my eyes?
Invaluable insights, gain valuable insights. Ask RoseEyeDoctor.com.